Hey, good morning, guys. Can you see me?
Yes, we can see you.
So I'm joining from home. So I'm going to share a YouTube link to the previous sessions before this one. Um, just kindly subscribe to our YouTube link, our YouTube channel, and you can as well go through some of the previous sessions we've had.
Okay.
That's a link to the YouTube channel. That's the link to our website. So we'll just give a little more time for exercise, a little more patience for more people to join. Begin at exactly 11:05. Just grant a grace of 5 minutes for more people to join. Morning, Omo. I can't pronounce your name. Sorry, I'm afraid not to get it wrong. But I hope you can hear me. Okay, morning.
Morning.
Thank you for joining.
Thank you, sir.
I will wait. I'll just make sure everything is set and fine.
Hi, Theo. Hi, everybody.
Yeah, Jeff, good morning. Welcome to the call.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining.
All right.
We'll exercise a little more patience for see if more people can join before we kick off.
Sure.
Just we'll kick off at 11:05. So you can get a cup of coffee, water, something.
Oh, thank you. I'll get it now. Thank you.
Yeah. Thomas, good morning. Can you hear me?
Hello, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you clearly. Thanks for joining. I think before we round up the session, I think maybe you have something to say as my colleague.
Are you through with the section?
No. We're just about to start.
Okay.
We start at 11:05. We're just waiting for a few people to join. So I see Charles Adewey on the call.
Yeah, hi, good morning, Chooks.
Good morning. Thanks for joining.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
So just give a grace of I think okay, it's 11:05 already. So I think I'll kick off the session right about now. So, good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining. So today's call will be focused more on the hands-on on what we've talked about in the past 2 weeks. So it's been a series of webinar introducing us to infrastructure automation, code as network as code, or code as network, vice versa. We've also talked about the past few weeks. We talked about APIs. We've done something. I've done introduction to Ansible, and both links to the previous webinars are on our YouTube channel. So I've pasted the link to the YouTube channel on the chat, so you can as well spare yourself an hour or two and go through those introductory videos just to get acquainted to how to better put everything into use. So what we're going to be focusing on today is the hands-on of the two previous series we have talked about. So the first 25 minutes will be focused on API, right? And the first 20 minutes will be focused on API, while I take 5 minutes for questions. The second half will be for Ansible, and we'll get to see how to, implement a playbook and have it perform some tasks and activities for us. Then I'll take another 5 minutes for questions. Then we can round up the session. I want to strictly keep it for just an hour so that I round up on time and continue with other activities. So yeah, so how, where are we kicking off from? So we're kicking off from APIs. Let me bring up my environment. Can you see my screen, guys?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay. So we're kicking off from APIs, and so today we're going to be making a call. We're going to be making API calls from a live network, and that is.
Hello?
Sorry. Yeah, if you're not speaking, can you mute, please? Okay, so we're going to be making API calls from a live network. So this is a functional network, and that is Threaten Academy's network. So this is, so let me log in, and you get to see our Meraki dashboard. So this is our Meraki dashboard. This is our Meraki dashboard, and that is the appliance we're going to be calling, making API calls to. Right? So this is the appliance we're going to be making API calls to. You can see that the appliance is active. I'm going to leave this page so that you don't copy my public IP address. right? So we're going to be making live API calls to this Meraki environment. And you can see we have some active hosts on the network. We also have some telemetry data based on network usage. But we're not going to be posting. We're only going to be using the get method, right? We're not going to post or make changes because this is a live network and we don't want to get it messed up because we're going to be using it on Monday. So right here on my postman, I have made sure my environment variables are set. I'm not going to waste much time here because my API key is live. Then I have my API collection, right? I have all my collections imported and set. If you have not done that, if you have not done this, just follow. I will share the link after the session so that you can have access to this collection of APIs and the environment variable. So my history is clear, and let's make our first API call. So I'm going to navigate down to organization. First thing is I want to know and see the list of organizations I can access based on my environment variable. You can see that it's set. And if you look at my headers, I have my API key as a variable, which is called, right? So I'll just go ahead and make this API call. Good, and it's successful, guys. So you can see that I've been able to communicate with a Meraki device. You can see that I've successfully communicated with a Meraki device, which is Threaten Networks Limited, right? And that's the custom URL. And that's my network ID, right? That's my network ID right there. And so from here, we can kick off and check our environment variable to see if we have added the organization ID, because we're going to be using this organization ID in the next GET request we'll be making. So the next GET request is to return both the URL, that's the dashboard URL, and the organization ID to return the list of organizations, right? So all my environment variables are set as well as my API key. Then I'm going to make the call again. So notice that we're just using GET request, right? Now, we still have the same callback. And the next one will be, now that I have my organization ID, I want to see the status of my devices, the licenses, if it is active or not, or maybe something is going on or I need to renew, or what are the states of my licenses, right? So the same parameters except the organization ID, and I make that call and it returns the data for me. Now, I want to also show you something unique. Now, why I love Postman so much is if you make a successful API call, you can as well turn that, you can convert that API call to an actual code. And how do you do that? Come over here, click on code, and now you can select an exact code format you want. Do you want it just on a Coral basis, or JavaScript, or straight HTTP code? But in this case, we're going to be utilizing Python with a module called request. So what I'll do is I'm going to copy this exact code. I'm going to copy this exact code and copy it down to my VS Code, to my Microsoft Visual Studio Code. So let me create, I have a lot of files here. So let me open up a separate folder, one of my code folder. Let me just open up Hello Python. this folder. Okay. And I'm going to create another folder here. So I'll create a new file and let me call it demo underscore class.py. Right? So I've created this Python file. So I paste my code here. So the same information I just got from where? From my postman, right? From my postman, you can see my API key is called, and all those informations are actually valid. But to validate this code, we have to run it. So if you run successful, then we have an information. Okay, I think something is wrong. I think something is wrong. If not, I have to open up module name request. Hold on, guys. Let me open a separate folder. Okay. I was working on one before the class. Let me try this and see. Okay, this should be fine. This returned actual data. Let me create a new file. Let me create a new file. Demo class.py. And my code. Okay, so let me clear this info and let's run this. Exactly. So guys, can you see it returned the actual data for me? So let's compare. So you can see, notice the license, notice the date. It's going to expire. My license will expire on February 2021, February 23, 2021. And that's the device. That's an MX65. So let's head back to our postman and compare the output. So you can see it's the same output. So that's why I love using postman before I validate my code. I use postman to validate my code. Then I now move it to my VS code and include other codes to make it look presentable and fine based on what I want to achieve or based on the use case, right? So let's move over to inventory. I just want to see the inventory of devices on my Meraki environment, right? So make sure your environment variables are set based on what you want to request, right? And you make the same call, you make the get request, and that is it. So these are the list of all devices, right, within my organization, right, with their MAC addresses, and some have IP addresses attached to them. So these are the list of all my devices within my organization. So let's look at the code as well. Just like same, you can copy this code as well and move it to your VS Code and do anything you want to do with it. So guys, any questions so far? If you can paste your questions in the chat so that I don't get to miss any of them. Please post your questions on the chat so I don't get to miss your questions. So we're done with the get request for my organization. Let me see if we can make a few more requests before we jump over to Ansible. So let me look at the device, the get request for the device. Let me look at the get request for a device collection here on my Postman. So I have my network ID set based on my variables. Everything looks good. And let me make the API call. Exactly. So you can see it's giving me inventory of my device, where it's located, giving me more granular information, right? So with this information, you can do whatever you want to do with a sample of code you've gotten here and validated, right? Now, on this other side, you can also select different forms of code you want a different format you want based on what you desire to achieve, right? So like I said, I won't be making any posts, right? I won't be making any changes because this is actually a functional network. I had to seek some level of permission to be able to use it. So you can see this a live Meraki environment in the office. So I had to seek some permission. So I'm not going to make any posts, right? Any post request or delete request, right? So I'm going to just make all of a get request, and that is it. So if you want to get more hands-on on some of the things I have just showed you, you can jump over to developer.cisco.com. You can sign in. You can create an account. You can use either your Gmail or one of these formats to sign in. Move over to Sandbox and Remote Labs. And okay, asking me to sign in. I think I just have to sign in to continue. So just a minute, I'll stop my share, sign in, and I'll reshare my screen. Okay, so let me share my screen. So yeah, you can, so once you navigate down here, I'm going to paste the link on the chat as well. I'm going to paste the link on the chat. So you have it on the chat. You can navigate, create an account, and navigate down to Meraki. I think we have an always on. So you can make use of this right now, even as we speak. You can, okay, let me just paste the direct URL on the chat window. Guys, you can use this sandbox. You can see you have the API key right there for you. You have the username and the password. Everything is available there for you. But let me take some time and show you how to get it started. So I'm going to log out from my Meraki environment while I just take some minutes to show you guys how to properly set it up. So you click on the URL here and copy the username. Now, when you sign in, guys, please don't use the SSO. You can log in with a personal account. and the password is I love Meraki. And once you log in, please navigate down to where's the sandbox? Where's the sandbox? Hold on, I have to validate this. Okay. I have to look for the sandbox so that okay, there you go. Right, so it's free for you to use, and you can see I don't think this has an active device, so let's look for another one. But you can just scroll through and look for an organization that has a device. So this is like a test bed for you, right? For you to use and achieve your API calls and learn more how to use. Okay, we have some devices here. So you can use Meraki_K. So we have some active devices here that you can, right? And what else? Then you have the Meraki key available for you to use. So for the sandbox, it's not just meant for Meraki environment. You have other things you can learn from this place as well, this sandbox. A lot of things has been kept here for us to explore. And just in case you want to get started, you can navigate to developer.cisco.com/start now, right? And take some free courses, actually good for you to get you started with the environment. We have 3 hours of Meraki course. We have introduction to coding, networking 101, and the rest of them. I'm going to take some, I'll take some few questions before we jump onto Ansible. Yeah, so Charles, Charles, can you ask your question? Can you unmute and ask your question?
Okay, thank you, Chooks. It's my first time with you, my first class with you, and I see that your connection to the Meraki, you used a URL, but in a case, if I have iOS devices that I want to connect to maybe more than 2 iOS devices that I want to call at once, is that possible? Also more than 2 iOS devices, how would that play out?
Okay, now that's a very lovely question. Let me just show you. Let me navigate back to my Postman. Let me show you. Now, this is very, very important in your Postman, in you making API calls. If I define, sorry, what's going on? So if I define another, okay, let me edit. If I define this again, if I define all these variables again, right? If I define a separate API key or a separate parameter here, right, it's still going to give me that, it's still going to allow me access those devices. But while it's flagging it here, it's saying it's called duplicate, it's saying duplicate key. I can change this one to underscore. I can change this one to an underscore. You can see it's different right now. So you can either use your Postman, right, to validate. It depends on how you approach your own method. It depends on how you approach your method of learning. So for me, what I do is I try as much as possible to validate what I'm going to use on my Visual Studio Code on Postman, right? When it has to do with APIs, I make sure I validate them on Postman before I take them to VS Code for a use case. For example, I want to build a comprehensive script that's going to check the health status of my Meraki devices. So the first script will call inventory, check if the devices are up. The second task will be to bring up, send send 5 pings to devices that are on the network, just like a wake up ping. Then the third script is to do a health check, right? So if I'm making those 5 API calls in one script, what I would do for me is build those scripts, make those API calls on Postman, then take it to VS Code and get it to work. So you can call as many devices as you want. So far, the variables are defined.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Charles, you were asking something on a use case. So you can, so your use case is to automate what is boring for you, right? So the most boring thing for me is checking, doing a health check of devices, because it's very cumbersome. So imagine this, for me, I manage a lot of devices, right? I manage a lot of devices for MTN. So, but we use automation to, do a lot of stuff on that environment. So the most boring thing for me is going to, having access to each of those devices to do a health check. So the automation environment has been able to do what is called a single pane of glass information for us. So once I look at my dashboard, I know a device that is not functioning properly, and it narrows down to that device. I can check what's going on and all that. So Charles, for use case is unique to you. You can automate anything that is boring to you, and that's it. Anything you find boring, automate it. That's a use case.
All right, thank you.
Do you have more questions, or do I move over to Ansible?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Okay, just want to get the username and the password, please, for developers Cisco Funcom Start now.
No, you can create an account. You can create an account with either your Gmail or your Facebook. It's open. You can create. Yeah, you just create a fresh account or a new account. That's all.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Any more questions, guys, before I jump over to Ansible, which is more interesting for me? Right, so if you have more concerns, you can still reach out to me personally. I'm going to paste my LinkedIn URL, or I'm going to paste also my email address. You can reach out to me. And meanwhile, I'm going to take some time to talk about our upcoming DevNet Associate class, which will be coming up in a couple of weeks. At least in 2 weeks' time, we should have our DevNet class up and running. So you can also take that advantage and join. I'm going to talk about it at the end of the session. So yeah, next lab we're going to be looking at is Ansible. So what is Ansible? Ansible is a tool from Red Hat. It's actually an open source tool. And you have the enterprise version of Ansible, referred to as Ansible Tower. That is the paid version and the version you get support for. So, developed by Red Hat, used for a lot of purposes, mainly automation, right? Mainly automation. That's what Ansible is used for. And Ansible is a very unique tool. Cisco environments use it a lot. A lot of collaboration has been put together to make sure that models were built to support the Ansible environment, right? And So this morning, for this session, the next few minutes, we're going to look at how to, back up a configuration. So we're going to back up a Cisco configuration on the CSR router, right? And we're also going to push in some config and watch how that plays out. How does my lab environment look like? My lab environment. This is my lab environment. I have two VMs running. So the first one is a custom DevSec lab environment from Cisco Networking Academy. And the second one is a virtual environment for the CSR 1000V. So these are my two virtual instances running. And the first thing we do is to make sure that both virtual environments can talk to each other. So bring up this guy. Let's make sure they can ping each other. Okay, just trying to share my screen. Okay, I have config. Okay, that's my IP. Show IP interface brief. And let me ping. So this is 56.101. So we're going to ping 56.101. Yeah, and we are happy. So there's reachability between two devices. So we're just going to minimize this guy. So let's take some time to view the running config on the router. It's kind of tiny and I can't increase the font, so bear with me. So I have the SSH keys set up for remote access, for SSH. Username and password set, and I just have a basic config on it, right? So the prerequisite for communicating with your host on an Ansible environment is the host has to be defined. Those devices have to be defined on a particular file. I will still talk about the configuration files, right? So on the remote host, you have to make sure SSH is properly set up. Username and passwords, local database setup, or if you're using an AA server, it's still fine, right? Those things have to be set up before you can achieve communication between these two environments. Now, you don't need to install any agent on the remote device. That is why a lot of network vendors use it, right? A lot of OEMs have adopted Ansible. You don't need to install any clients on the remote device. It just needs SSH access, and that's all. Right now, back to my environment, I have Ansible installed. And just to show you the version of Ansible I'm running, I'm going to just say Ansible-V, and sorry, I have to completely type the command. So that's it. That's the version of Ansible I'm running. And you can see where my default config file is. But in this case, I'm not going to be using that. I'm not going to be using that location for my config file. I'm going to be switching to a different location. That will be, I'll teach you how to do all that when you join our DevNet class. Just here to show you how it runs, right? So here on my host file, notice that I've defined CSR1KB with a username, right? And a password, and as well the IP address, right? This is the first thing you do, right? This is the initial thing you do. Then on your config, your Ansible.cfg file, right? You make sure that you are referencing this inventory. So this inventory is this file we just defined here, right? So we can as well define more IP addresses or parameters or hosts we want to communicate to here. We can define them on this file and call them on our inventory, right? With the host function. Then for host keys, we don't want to check that for now. We're not doing public and private key infrastructure. So we're just using a simple SSH environment to do that, right? So we're going to, these other stuffs are disabled because we don't really need them for now. Just want to do basic SSH access to the device. Now, let's get to our playbook. So playbook contains a series of tasks, right? A series of tasks you want to achieve, or you want to send to the remote device to achieve a desired purpose. For this playbook, right, I want to back up the configuration, the existing configuration on my CSV 1000 router, right? And to do that, I'm going to send this file, I'm going to send this task, right? Referencing the router, which is the host here. And to back up, as it backs up that config, the first task will back up the config, while the second task is going to send that config to a TXT file, right? But we also have to make sure that at this location, this folder is created with a destination, right? So we make sure that at this destination, we'll have this particular folder. Let's navigate to where we have that folder and check. Okay, let me clear my screen, bring it up again. So you can notice that this is where I have all my Ansible files. You can see the host file is here. You can see the ansible.cfg, right? Then I have my backup directory already created. So let's access the backup directory and make sure we don't have any file there. Text file, okay, I have a text file here, so I'll just remove it, or I'll just delete it. Clear my screen, and you can see we have nothing on that folder. So while I navigate back,
Oui, allô? Ça va?
yes, Jeff.
Donc, je disais que tu allais faire ce trajet, tu vas conduire seul ou bien...
Sorry, if you're not speaking, can you mute so that you don't interrupt the session? I navigate back to my directory and let's run our playbook. So this is where I have all my playbooks. Okay, sorry. And guys, please, playbooks are written in YAML files. So a YAML starts with a 3-, right? And very, very important, please, when you are developing your scripts on Ansible, mind your spaces and indentation, right? Mind your spaces and indentation. If you can take a look at my VS Code, you can see that the indent, you know, this was properly indented and it doesn't have any issue. So to make sure that your script is working fine, you can also copy this and let me open up my Chrome within my environment and I can go and validate my Ansible script. You can use an online tool just to validate your Ansible script. So, yeah, so you can use YAML.lint, YAMLlint.com to validate your Ansible script. So I'm going to paste this here and I'll just say go. So you can see valid YAML. So once you see this, it means that your script is working fine. So I'm also going to copy this link, this, and paste it on the chat. Don't worry, the session will be recorded. The session will be recorded and you will get the link. Okay. Session will be recorded and you get the link, right? So I'll navigate back to my playbook. And let's run this playbook. So how to run a playbook is ansible --playbook. I'm going to verbose. Verbose means I want to see every step in detail what is going to happen. And the name of my script is backup_Cisco router_playbook.yml. So I hit enter and I watch it do its thing. Yes, guys, and it was successful. And let's look at the output. So here it says OK is equals to 2, change is 1. So on this, this info here is giving us just a brief info that our script was successful and we have achieved our desired state. So let's navigate into, let's CD back into our backup folder and let's check, and you can see we have a text file. So we're going to cut that text file and compare with what we have on our router. So let's cut this file and you can see that is displaying the config. So can you see this is configuration management right now? So what is the use case here? The use case here is if you're a network engineer on this call and you're managing more than 50 routers, let's say 10 to 20 routers, it's time for you to learn Ansible, right? It's the right time for you to learn Ansible. And trust me, Threaten Academy is the plug for you. We're here to help you, right? So our first playbook is successful. And let's look at the second use case. So the second use case is your CIO wakes up tomorrow and they say, oh, we want to expand our network. We're thinking of integrating IPv6, right? And we don't want downtime. So how do you think you're going to achieve that? Ansible is also a very good tool for you. So the use case here is to send a fresh config that doesn't exist on our CSR. So let's look at our CSR and make sure that we don't have an IPv6 interface existing. So I'm going to say show IPv6 interface brief. That's the command. And you can see the interface is up because the physical interface is up because I have IPv4 already running on the other interface, right? But I don't have any IPv6 address. So we're going to send these two IP addresses to the CSR 1000V. And to do that, okay, I'm in the right directory. So the same command, ansible --playbook, verbose, let's see each step is going to take, right? And the name of the playbook, which is what? IPv6.yml. So run that. Let's see it do its thing. And that is it, guys. And that is it. That's all. So imagine you're managing 50, 20, 100 routers. It's going to take you a time to build that Ansible script. But once you build it, in less than 5 minutes, you have all your routers configured based on the parameter. Now, what did we achieve? We sent this IP address to the CSR 1000V. It was successful. The next one was to print the show IP interface brief, which was the second task here. We did that successful, and you can see it's showing us that it configured 2 addresses, and the interface is what? The interface is up. The first address is the linked local address, and the second address is the actual IPv6 address. So to validate that, I'm going to run the same command, show my IPv6 interface, and you can see that I have it configured, right? So this is just a brief overview of how to achieve configuration management and utilizing Ansible to properly automate your Cisco environment. Though you can use Ansible to automate a lot of stuff, servers, web servers, AWS, Azure, but the use case for us today is based on Cisco devices and configuration management in particular. Guys, I'm going to take questions now. And
okay. Can you hear me?
yeah, Charles, I can hear you.
Alright, so where are you writing those Linux commands? Is he on the, I don't understand, where are you writing those Linux commands actually?
Can you paste your question on the chat? Your audio is breaking. Okay. Your audio is breaking. Okay. Right. Commands from
Okay.
Charles, the Linux commands. I'm not writing any Linux command. I'm just running. This is the file I'm running. Is a .yml file, which is my Ansible playbook, right? So the commands, the Linux commands are on my shell. This is actually a Linux VM, guys. So this is a Linux VM. So this is not Windows. This is a Linux VM. Charles, like I said before I started the Ansible session, this is my lab. So this is a custom DevSec lab from Cisco Networking Academy, right? That's what I'm using, and I have my CSR 1000V. That's what I'm using. Charles, are you clear now? Okay, thank you. I heard somebody saying something. Yes, you can ask your question.
Okay, thank you again, Chooks. So there's this belief that Ansible is just meant to automate daily operations for engineer, but from what you showed us, I don't know if there's some more that can happen with Ansible. It seems it's basically just for specific tasks like updating your devices, getting information, but when it comes to day-to-day configuration of your devices, Ansible isn't really meant for that, where you have to put specific parameters into configurations.
Like what parameters?
Okay, if you're setting up maybe creating routes for different to different destinations, if you're setting up VPNs and stuff for different destinations as well, would Ansible be a suitable tool to use for automation?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So
all you have to do, okay, hold on, let me interrupt you. So all you have to do is build your YAML file.
Okay.
That's just it. You want to achieve, so if you build a YAML file, let me say you build a YAML file for Ike version 1, right? Let's use that as a use case. So you build a YAML file for Ike version 1. You look at the proper parameters, right, for Ike to build up, to set up a tunnel for Ike version 1. Once you get that YAML file working, trust me, the next time you have to set up a site-to-site VPN, what do you need to edit? Only what you need to edit is the pair IP address, right? Okay, first of all, let's start from phase 1. So phase 1, you have to edit your Hago, right?
Yeah.
Exactly. After editing your Hago, you edit your what? Your pre-shared key.
Yeah.
After your pre-shared key, you now move to IPsec, right? You edit your
Yes.
transform set based on what you and the client has agreed.
Yeah.
Exactly, and that's it. You apply it to whatever interface, and that's it. Trust me. In short, you know what? I think let's see how we can collaborate and work on that YAML file.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That would be nice.
And you can just install Ansible on your laptop. You know, once you have access to the network, that's all. Once that device, once your laptop has access to all the environments, right? That's it. You're okay.
Okay.
So it depends. Like for me, what would I always say in my sessions, my watchword is I automate the boring tasks for me. So anything that I feel that is boring for me, I just automate it.
Okay. All right then.
What I've not really looked at in Ansible is advanced troubleshooting. You know, like when we have to do debug, maybe the tunnel is not coming up, we have to debug and see if Ike version 1, if Ike phase 1 is a problem or Ike phase 2, right?
Okay.
So I've not really looked at that, but let's collaborate and see if we can build a YAML file for that.
All right, that would be interesting. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other question, guys, before I talk about DevNet Associates? We have just 5 minutes more. I'm ending at exactly 12 p.m. Okay, so you can paste your questions at the chat while I display, I just talk a bit about DevNet Associate and what we have to expect. So,
please, Chooks, remember to also send the YouTube link for the previous classes.
Okay, let me do that now. Let me do that right about now. Guys, can you see my screen? Okay, let me paste that. Can we use a different Linux flavor for the Cisco router? Charles, I don't really get your question, but question looks, I don't really get the question. So our DevNet Associate class, what are you expecting? So it's a very interesting class that will be coming up in a couple of weeks, and you guys will be communicated in due time. And when DevNet was launched early this year, Cisco made it possible for the first 500 guys to partake in the certification to be specially recognized. Just like when CCIE was launched in 1993, the first 500 to get the CCIE then were specially recognized. So you can still take advantage of it and join the DevNet class of 2020 because Cisco this has been consumed already. So you can't join Cisco DevNet class, and can't join the DevNet 500 anymore, right? So, but you can join the DevNet class of 2020. I'm going to join the DevNet class of 2020, and I'll be happy to see some of my folks in Nigeria join the DevNet class of 2020. So what are you expecting? We're going to be looking at a lot of interesting topics, right? From software development to understanding APIs to even network fundamentals, introduction to Python, infrastructure and automation, then Cisco development platforms. So the chapter, I just speak a little from infrastructure and automation, which is Ansible for us to look at today. We also have Chef, Puppet. We also look at Jenkins, right? These are DevOps tools. And guys, if you want to really stand out, I would really encourage you to, partake in our DevNet class because new job roles are going to be coming up very soon. New job roles like site reliability engineers. So we don't have that job role still. We don't have that job role available yet in Nigeria. So you can take advantage of this moment and prepare yourself for what is coming. So if you have more questions on DevNet Associate, please reach out to me on my LinkedIn, maybe send me a chat. I'll be happy and willing to collaborate with you. With that being said, I will just stop sharing my screen and we use the remaining time for a little interactive session. So thank you all for partaking in this webinar series. I can see some lovely faces. Charles is here, Emeka is here. Thank you for joining. Oh, Gloria, all the way from Jos. Thank you for joining.
Me too, man. Come on, man.
Jeff, sorry, Jeff is joining from Ireland. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much. We really appreciate you. Chetan Academy appreciates you. So if your camera, if you can switch on your camera so that we just see each other and say thank you, because this is the end of this webinar series, and I don't know when I'm going to be coming online again for another webinar series. Thank you, Yusuf, for joining.
Can you see me? I hope you can see me, right? Yes, Theodore.
Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. Thomas, oh, Thomas is on the call. So we have another senior instructor on the call, Thomas. He's also a DevNet certified instructor. So I'll just give him 1 or 2 minutes to also chip in about DevNet. Thomas, can you say something?
Yeah, can you hear me?
We can hear, we cannot see you.
I'm still in bed, that's why. Actually, Chooks, you had a great section, and the CCNA DevNet is, Cisco is always a leader in terms of delivering new content, bringing new content. And one thing I like about Cisco, especially the Cisco Networking Academy, is that they take their time to develop courses. And you see, once they develop a course, once they build a course, I don't know if some of you already know about the Cisco Networking Academy, but it's really open to everyone. It's free now. There are so many courses that are free. So just for you to just search www.netacad.com, and you see, like, I think Python is free there. Linux is also free. And when I mean these courses are developed by experts. It takes time to develop them. So that is where you see most of us, like Chooks, myself, and also other instructors. That is where we get our background from. So thanks, everyone. It's not really easy considering the level of, cost of internet access in Nigeria and the rest. And so many of us were still able to join this section. It really shows us the passion, and it's really great. So Chooks, well done.
So thank you so much, Thomas. So Thomas is joining us from Poland. He's not actually in Nigeria. He's joining us from Poland. And we appreciate everyone for joining. Yusuf, thank you so much for joining. Charles, thank you. So you can take screenshots, make a post on LinkedIn or make a post on Twitter, share the word. Michael, thank you for joining. Michael, have I met you before? Your face looks familiar.
Yes, we've spoken once anyways, but I think I'll chat you up on LinkedIn.
Oh, thank you. Oh, my dear friend, Charles, thank you. Good to see your face. Thank you for joining. So we'll be ending the session, and it's 12:02 already. So I have some other things to catch up today. Thank you. Bye. Good night.
Bye.